I'm going to be completely honest with all of you right now. Resident Evil is one of my favorite video games of all time. Back when this game came out, I had never heard of survival horror games before. Hell, I didn't even really hear of any horror games before. And I most certainly never played the Famicom exclusive Sweet Home, so I'd never even thought of this kind of concept before. Like, let me get this straight. You want to lock me inside some giant open 3D area with limited ammo and have me solve puzzles and try and locate my missing teammate.
What?
Well, how in the hell am I supposed to do that when the mansion is crawling with all manner of creature inside?
Blood.
But therein lies the appeal, and within only a few short minutes of me playing, I immediately fell in love. It didn't hurt that I got the living crap scared out of me within 10 minutes of playing. That was the very first time that ever happened to me before, and to be really honest, that feeling has never happened again. It's Resident Evil on the original PlayStation. You're dead scared was actually the original tagline for Resident Evil, and boy was it a fitting line. I remember way back in late March, early April 1996, when a group of my friends were sitting in a basement with the lights out, as we had always done before, and we decided to pop in this new Capcom game. There were 4 of us there that night, and all 4 of us would have our gaming lives changed forever, thanks to just a few cheap scares. If there's one thing the original Resident Evil did well, is that it lived up to its namesake. It really did scare the crap out of virtually everyone who played it. It didn't matter if you were the biggest fan of horror films or if you hated them. The minute you grabbed that controller and started to move around the various hallways, you knew anything could be around the next corner, and that feeling of dread slowly crept in. Before you knew it, you were jumping with every new sound you heard. Now that's how classics are born, and to this very day, some 18 years after its release, it still proves to be every bit as creepy. You all know the story, you guys know the mansion, you know the characters, but what you might not realize is that the ultra cheesy voice acting and dialogue actually gave this game its charm. Returning to this legendary game today, I thought for sure it would be cringe-worthy or inducing, but perhaps I've got my rose-tinted glasses on because honestly I found that all these cheesy elements really help make this game so special. It feels as though you're playing through a cheap B-movie, which is exactly what Capcom was going for back then. And this was long before the days of the John Woo-inspired moments from Resident Evil 6. The core gameplay is broken down into solving puzzles, piecing together the story by locating journals or diaries, and combat. Often you'll have to travel from one portion of the mansion to the next, looking for a specific key or a crest to access further into the depths of the mansion. Puzzles might seem simplistic by today's standards, and they most certainly aren't logical, but again, I find that they play into the game's charm. One moment you're trying to reach a map, for example, and the next you're flipping switches on a series of paintings in order to open a chest. What? Makes no sense, but in the greater scheme of things, it doesn't matter. It's fun. Combat is rather simple. Armed with a select few weapons such as a knife, a handgun, a shotgun, bazooka, maybe a few others, you're tasked with exploring each and every room in the mansion, not knowing exactly where enemies are inside. There might be zombies, there might be hellhounds, there might even be crows or something else entirely different. The catch is that there are typically more enemies in the mansion than you have the ammo to dispose of. This plays into the whole survival aspect of the freshly coined term survival horror. You're constantly weighing your options of using your ammo to take out the slow-moving zombies or saving said ammo for more powerful enemies you might run into later on. Health is also not an easy thing to come by, so this juggling act is always on your mind. When do you leave enemies behind? Like, do I even bother doing that? Because if I do leave them behind, odds are I'm going to get scared by them the next time I run by this way. Item management is also an extremely important element of Resident Evil. Not only do you have to conserve your ammo and health, but you need to make special use of storage lockers or units in order to carry additional items, because at any given moment you can only carry 8. Now thankfully these storage units are always located in safe rooms and they have some sort of magic teleportation that will basically take the contents of one storage unit and throw them over to another one, so that you don't have to backtrack all the time throughout the entire mansion. The fixed camera angles were also a really genius way of solving early camera problems that were plaguing many 3D games at the time. And the other catch is, since you can't see what's in front of you, odds are you're going to get the living crap scared out of you yet again. The audio holds up perfectly, with crisp and clear music playing during key scenes, but for the most part, the audio takes a backseat to ambient noises. And this is one of the first games I can remember that really emphasized background noise. You wanted to have complete quiet because you needed to hear the moaning of the zombies or the pitter-patter of, well, something else. And the voice acting is brilliant. It's so awful that it's great. Now, there are a couple of things that haven't held up quite as well for potential new players. First thing, obviously, are the tank controls, which I'm not going to get into anymore. You either like them or you don't. For me, they take about 20 minutes and I'm good as gold. And the pre-rendered graphics, I find they still look very decent. However, the character models are extremely rough around the edges. Enemies are really made up of low polygon counts, but you can still make out what they're supposed to be. But clearly, this isn't one that's going to wow you in terms of graphics. Overall, Resident Evil was a landmark video game. It was one of the very first games to ever scare people. It ushered in this new approach to action games. Hell, it even ushered in the whole survival horror subgenre, which is still going strong almost 20 years later. Most people who are new to gaming or who have never played this version of the game and are curious to see what all the fuss is about can easily find a copy on the PlayStation Network or on eBay for just a couple of bucks. Or they can try their hand on the radically improved GameCube remake, which just so happens to be the very best remake of all time. But that, my friends, is for another review. For the full written review, hit up projectcoe.com.